All right. So think aloud. Okay, the plot against people. There's an introduction about Russell Baker as well. But the title, the plot against people. So it makes me think there's going to be something against people. Does make me think there's like going to be like something bad against people. The critic R.Z. Shepard has commented that Baker can be best appreciated for doing what a good humorist has always done, writing to preserve his sanity for at least one more day. In this piece from the New York Times in 1968, Baker uses classification for the purpose, taking aim, as he has often done, at things. So from that, just that last little bit at things, it makes me think that there's going to be a classification of things that are used against people. Maybe just because it's 2024. When I read that, I was immediately thinking like bombs, but whatever. Maybe it's 2024. And best appreciated for what he's for doing what a good humorist has always done. That definitely makes me think this is going to be funny. And writing to preserve his sanity for at least one more day, also makes me think that I should be expecting something satirical because it's kind of that like at least one more day kind of thing. Inanimate objects are classified into three major categories. So this is how I like the way that he introduces that he's going to have three categories because I feel like it leads you to understand what's happening, what's going on, and what you to expect, but it doesn't give it all away. And then he does his categories in a way that doesn't feel like they're categories. Those that don't work, those that break down, and those that get lost. The goal of all inanimate objects is to resist man and ultimately to defeat him. Definitely feels like this just wraps the title up. The plot against people. The goal of inanimate objects is to resist man and ultimately defeat him. I do feel like things are working against me constantly, mainly inanimate objects every day of my life.
Same.
And the three major classifications are based on the method each object uses to achieve its purpose. So I like the way that he explains what he's about to talk about, and then also explains each kind of classification, each category a little bit as he starts. Just kind of explaining like where they came from, what they do. And then as a general rule, any object capable of breaking down at any moment when it's most needed will do so. The automobile is typical of the category. And I like how he leads into the next statement. I, of course, read this already. So I kind of know what's coming, but the automobile is typical of this category is great because I think it leads into the next paragraph really well.
All right. With the cunning typical of its breed, the automobile never breaks down while entering a filling station with a large staff of idle mechanics. It waits until it reaches a downtown intersection in the middle of rush hour or until it's fully loaded with family and luggage on the Ohio Turnpike, which is, I like that because it's like, is nothing ever breaks at the right moment. Just like it says, it's like, oh, you're never going to run out of gas or your car's never going to like get a flat tire when there's people and things around that could help you. It's going to break when it's going to be a pain in the butt to try and fix.
Every time.
Every single time. Thus, it creates its maximum misery, inconvenience, frustration, and irritability among its human cargoes, thereby reducing its owner's lifespan, which is hilarious. Yeah, because they're like, oh, this is going to take another year off my life, which I have had those moments, especially with the tire that's currently on my car. Like, come on. Washing machines, garbage disposal, lawnmowers, light bulbs, automatic laundry dryers, water pipes, furnaces, and electrical fuses, television tubes, hose nozzles, tape recorders, slide projectors are all in a league with automobiles that take their turn at breaking down whenever life threatens to flow smoothly for their human enemies. Yeah, and I like that last part where he's like, whenever life threatens to flow smoothly for their human enemies. It's like once you think that like everything is going well and just like smooth, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, your washing machine is broken,
Mm-hmm.
which happened to me semi recently, and I had a whole entire flooded hallway, which
Mm-mm.
was a lot of fun. Many inanimate objects, of course, find it extremely difficult to break down. Pliers, for example, and gloves and keys are almost totally incapable of breaking down. Therefore, they must have had to evolve to a different technique for resisting man. I like that because it's saying like, okay, it's very hard to break a key, but we'll find some other way to really get you. It won't break, but we're gonna find some other way
It really does feel like it's
to
out to get you.
piss you off.
Yes.
All right, Madeline, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I'll do the next one. They get lost. Science has still not solved the mystery of how they do it, and no man has ever caught one of them in the act of getting lost. The most plausible theory is that they have developed a secret method of locomotion, which they are able to conceal the instant a human eye falls upon them. That kind of makes me think of like Toy Story, like anytime Andy comes in, they all do the Toy Story thing where they just fall over.
Yep.
Um, so that's pretty funny. And then it is not uncommon for a pair of pliers to climb all the way from the cellar to the attic in its single-minded determination to raise its owner's blood pressure. And that kind of makes me laugh because it's like they're trying to make you mad. Like the inanimate object is doing this on purpose just to make, the owners mad. Keys have been known to burrow 3 feet under mattresses. Women's purses, despite their great weight, frequently travel through 6 or 7 rooms to find a hiding space under a couch. Um, yeah, like how does that? I find like I lose my phone all the time, and I'll find it in the fridge or something. I'm like, how does that even happen?
I found my boyfriend's in the fridge about a week ago.
Like seriously, that's so funny. Where did I go? Scientists have been struck by the fact that things that break down virtually never get lost, while things that get lost hardly ever break down. A furnace, for example, will invariably break down at the depth of the first winter cold wave, but it will never get lost. A woman's purse, which after all does have some inherent capacity for breaking down, hardly ever does. It almost invariably chooses to get lost. I think that just kind of goes back to like the inconvenience of it all. Like the furnace. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I also feel like that's like it's like okay, like if we can't do this one thing, we're gonna do this other thing to screw you.
Yeah.
In some way, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting the way that he does it. And I like the way that he broke everything down in there. Because I was looking at that and then I was like, okay, so this is a really good idea of how to kind of model. Like, I'm glad that she gave it to us because it's an interesting way to look at things. And I like the approach of kind of making it funny.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like it takes a little bit of pressure off.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to be funny, it doesn't feel as serious. And that was what one of the coaches had told me before is like, don't have this like mind-bending moment where you need to like come clean about something or talk about some crazy traumatic event. Like, just write a paper. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the best advice ever because you put all this pressure on yourself to do this like amazing job, but it's like, don't pick the hardest thing that you're going to have a breakdown while you write it. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
yes, that's me.
That's also me.
Yeah. All right. So I am trying to keep it simple and just write about something that I know about. And to me, it's kind of funny. Probably not funny to everybody, but to me, it's funny. So I right now I'm writing about different type of plant people. I'm like insanely obsessed with plants. I've always really liked them, but never been super into it. And the pandemic made me go a little nuts. So like lockdown and stuff. But while I've been in like this community, I'm just talking about 3 different types of people. There's the like hobbyists that have fun. There's like the purists, which were people like pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, that were really into gardening, but are kind of this like scientifically driven, like old school people, like you do this way. And then there's what I call like I have to come up with a better name, but there's a certain type of plant that they love and they're anthuriums, but there's these people who like love to make money and they like love showy, flashy things, and they always have like the best Instagrams. So I'm just talking about that.
It's hilarious.
I love that.
My outline, but I love plants and I'm really big at like, I'm big on like looking up information. So I feel like I'm always on Instagram or something and I see these things and I see these people. So it's like, oh, I can categorize that. So that'll be good. And it's something I know what to do to write about.
Yeah, I know it was one of her examples like in the thing, but I think it's also something that like I am seriously into is doing music as mine because like sorry, the dog's right here and just keep sneezing. My like taste in music is all over the place. And I have like all my different like little categories for like, okay, like if I'm going on a drive, let's do this one. If I'm going to bed, I have like a sleepy time playlist that like I made myself. And yeah, my genre of music. And then like I have to kind of think about because like there's certain artists that for me can be like an emotional
Mm-hmm.
type of connection. But then it can also flip and be like a like woo woo connection.
Yeah.
So it's like I have like certain artists have multiple meanings to me.
Yeah.
And like I can like classify them in like more ways than one, which I don't know if it's gonna like overcomplicate it or not.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be something that yeah, I can kind of and it's something that like I love talking about. Like I could talk about music all day, every day.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun.
It is my life. But I'm
I
not musically inclined whatsoever. I cannot play an instrument to save my life. But I can listen to it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Jackie, stop.
I have a few different topics that I'm thinking about. I did just think of one like just now when you brought up like plants, it kind of made me think dogs are like my whole life. Like I manage a doggy daycare, so I wake up, I
Aww.
go to sleep, and I think about dogs. Like it's just, and that's also like I am pretty introverted, so the way I connect with people is like talking about dogs. So maybe like the different types of like dog people, like dog owners, because there's so
That
many
would be
different.
a really good one.
I think so. I'm like really happy I thought about that because I had a bunch of different things like friendships and ways of learning and like personality types, but I think the dog one
I think the
is gonna
dog one
be
is super
really
cool.
good.
'Cause dog people are wild, like we're insane. And then like
Yeah.
break it down into groups of like the weirdos versus the weirdos versus I think that's super cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of funny that you said dogs because Brian, whenever you were talking and Jackie, this one was like rolling all over the place. I was thinking, so my boyfriend has 3 dogs and they all have 3 very different personality types. So like, yeah, that was another one that crossed my mind was like the personality types of dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dog owner one, I think is good.
I think the dog
I like
owner
that
one,
one a lot.
I think the dog owner one is even better though, because there's that like connection that you can make between the types of dogs that people own.
Yeah.
Like me and my boyfriend talk all the time because he has a corgi and I have an English bulldog and I have 2 other small dogs, but we always talk about how they're both such assholes. And then we're like, they're just like their fathers. It's just, but then you see dogs and you see the people that have them and you make that connection all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
that. I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah, it always makes me laugh when like you have this like huge, like swole gym bro dude and he's walking like a little chihuahua.
My favorite.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what?
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording real quick.